Hi everybody, welcome to today's class. Now in this class we shall discuss about hydrocarbons. Now hydrocarbons are very important compounds for organic chemistry because basically all the compounds may be derived from hydrocarbons. So without any delay, let's get started. Now hydrocarbons, first of all we have to know what are hydrocarbons. Now the term itself explains what it is. Look, this is a composition of two words. First of all, hydro, and this is carbon. Now hydro comes from hydrogen and carbon from carbons. Now if in any compound only two elements are there, hydrogen and carbon, then the compound is called hydrocarbon. Basically the hydrocarbons can be divided into two types, and they are saturated hydrocarbon and unsaturated hydrocarbon. Now what does saturated hydrocarbon mean? Saturated hydrocarbons are the hydrocarbons. So let me first of all write down the term. So hydrocarbons may be classified into two parts. First of all, this one is saturated hydrocarbon, and second division is unsaturated. So let me define this one first. What is saturated hydrocarbon? If any carbon atom combines with four different atoms, the different atom may be hydrogen, may be carbon also, then the corresponding compound formed will be termed as saturated hydrocarbon. Let us give some example. Let us consider the compound methane. It is represented by CH4. Now if we see the structure of methane, then we shall find all four hydrogen atoms linked to this central carbon atom by single bond. So carbon is forming bonds with four different hydrogen atoms. So no possibility, no further possibility is there for this carbon to form bonds. So this bond is, rather this carbon is saturated. Now if we come to the next hydrocarbon, then it must contain two carbon atoms and the compound will be, this is the condensed form. Now if we write down the structure of this hydrocarbon, it will be like this: carbon bond carbon. Now this carbon must satisfy the valency 4, and since it is saturated, so it will be utilizing all these bonds, will be forming these bonds with maximum number of hydrogen atoms. So maximum 3 hydrogens may come around this to form bonds and forming this compound. Similarly, this carbon atom is already bonded to this carbon, so 3 remaining, which 3 will be satisfied and may be satisfied by hydrogens. So this is another example of saturated hydrocarbon. So this is the first member of saturated hydrocarbon, which is termed as methane. This one is the second member, which is termed as ethane. Now in this way we may have propane, butane and so on. In each and every case, always either carbon-carbon or carbon-hydrogen single bonds will be there, no other bond will be there. So these are saturated hydrocarbons, and these saturated hydrocarbons are also termed as alkanes. So saturated hydrocarbons in other word are called alkane. Okay, now let me illustrate this one. This is unsaturated. Unsaturated means something which is just opposite to this one, that is, in this case each and every carbon atom forms bonds with maximum number of atoms possible. Now in this case carbon will form 4 bonds definitely, because we know that carbon is tetravalent, and in no cases carbon can form bond more than that or less than that. So valency must be satisfied in each and every compound of carbon, but in this case the situation will arise where carbon not single bonds in everywhere will be present, at least one multiple bond will be there. What does multiple bond mean? Multiple bond means any double or triple bond. So let me show this one example. So unsaturated compounds essentially will contain carbon double bond at least one, or carbon triple bond. So if in any compound any of these two type of bonds are there, then definitely the compound will be termed as unsaturated. Now the question arises, why is it so called? Now look, what is the term unsaturated? Unsaturated means in this compound, since here carbon double bond is there, so carbon in no case can form 4 bonds with 4 different or maximum number of other atoms. So if it is to be formed, then the compound will be like this. Maximum 2 hydrogens can be attached to this carbon atom, because already it has formed 2 bonds with this carbon atom. So though we know that carbon can maximum form 4 bonds with 4 different atoms, here it will have to be restricted to 3 only. So this carbon in one word is not saturated. Okay, similar thing will happen here also. It will form 2 bonds with 2 hydrogen atoms. Similarly, if we write down one compound here, it will be like this. Now this carbon can form 4 bonds, already has formed 3 bonds with this carbon atom, remaining only 1 bond, and that will be satisfied by hydrogen, since we are considering here only the hydrocarbons. Similar thing will happen here also. So this carbon, in spite of having capacity of forming 4 bonds with 4 different atoms, here it is bonded to only 2 other atoms. One is this hydrogen and other is this carbon atom. So this carbon is not saturated. It has not formed the bond with maximum number of possible atoms. In unsaturated compounds, 2 type of bonds are possible. One is this type, another is this type, that is double and triple bonds. Now depending on these, unsaturated hydrocarbons may further be divided into 2 categories. Okay, now let me write down them. Now first category will be containing this one, that is where carbon double bond will be there, and these type of compounds are termed as alkenes. So the first category is this, and in this essentially at least one carbon double bond will be there. So if we write down specific example, then it will be like this, and this compound is termed as ethylene. Now come to this one. If in any unsaturated compound at least one triple bond is there, then the compound will belong to another category which is termed as alkyne. And essentially the first example will be this, and this compound is termed as acetylene. Now this one is the smallest possible alkene, and this one is the smallest possible alkyne. Now if we change this hydrogen or this hydrogen from here, and here also this hydrogen and this hydrogen, and replace them by any other alkyl groups, then we shall have different examples of alkynes and alkenes. So that's all for today. Bye bye.